minutes, I'm going to be reading something that has been very important to me. I thought I'd share. Well, now, the easiest way to get into the meditative state is to begin by listening. If you simply close your eyes and allow yourself to hear all the sounds that are going on around you, just listen to the general hum and buzz of the world, just as if you are listening to music. Now, don't try to identify the sounds that you are hearing. There's no need to put names on them. Simply allow them to play with your eardrums, and then let them go. In other words, you can put it, let your ears hear whatever they want to hear. Don't judge the sounds. There are no, as it were, proper sounds or improper sounds. And it doesn't matter if somebody coughs or sneezes or drops something. It's all just sound. Now, if I'm talking to you right now and you are doing this, I want you to listen to the sound of my voice just as if it were noise. Don't try to make any sense out of what I'm saying, because your brain is going to take care of that automatically. You don't have to try to understand anything. Just listen to the sound. And as you pursue this experiment, you will very naturally find that you can't help naming those sounds or identifying them. That you will go on thinking, that is to say, talking to yourself inside your head automatically. But it's important that you don't try to repress those thoughts by forcing them out of your mind, because that will have precisely the same effect as it were trying to smooth rough water with a flat iron. You're just going to disturb it all the more. So what you do is this. As you hear sounds coming up in your head, or thoughts, you simply listen to them as a part of the general noise going on, just as you would be listening to the sound of my voice, or just as you would be listening to cars going by or birds chattering outside the window. So look at your own thoughts as just noises. And soon you will find that the so-called outside world and the so-called inside world come together. They are a happening. Your thoughts are a happening, just like the sounds going on outside. And everything is simply a happening. And all you're doing is watching it. Now in this process, another thing that is important that is happening is that you're breathing. And as you start meditation, you will allow your breath to run just as it wills. In other words, don't do at first any breathing exercise, but just watch your breath breathing in the way it wants to breathe. And notice a curious thing about this. Now you say in the ordinary way, I breathe, because you feel that breathing is something that you are doing voluntarily, just in the same way as you might be walking or talking. But you will also notice that when you are not thinking about breathing, your breathing goes on just the same. So the curious thing about breath is that it could be looked at as both a voluntary and an involuntary action. You could feel on the one hand, I am doing it, and on the other hand, it is happening to me. That is why breathing is a most important part of meditation, because it is going to show you, as you become aware of your breath, that the hard and fast division that we make between what we do on the one hand and what happens to us on the other is arbitrary. So as you watch your breathing, you will become aware that both the voluntary and the involuntary aspects of your experience are all one happening. Now, that may at first seem a little scary, because you may think, well, am I just a puppet of a happening, the mere passive witness of something that's going on completely beyond my control? Or, on the other hand, am I really doing everything that's going on? Well, if I were, I should be like God. And that would be very embarrassing, because I would be in charge of everything, or that would be a terribly irresponsible position. But the truth of the matter is, as we will see it, that it is both things are true. You can see it that everything is happening to you on the one hand, and on the other, you are doing everything. For example, it is your eyes that are turning the sun into light. It's the nerve ends in your skin that are turning electric vibrations in the air into heat and temperature. It's your eardrums that are turning my vibrations right now in the air into sound. And in that way, you are creating the world. But when we're not talking about it or philosophizing about it, then there is just this happening. Now then, when you breathe for a while, just letting it happen and not forcing it in any way, you will discover an even more curious thing. That without making any effort, you can breathe more and more deeply. In other words, supposing you are simply breathing out. Breathing out is important because it is the breath of relaxation. And when we say, whew, and heave a sigh of relief. So when you are breathing out, you get the sensation that your breath is falling out, dropping, dropping, dropping out, with the same sort of feeling you have as if you were settling down into an extremely comfortable bed. And you just get as heavy as possible and let yourself go. And you let your breath go out just that way. When it's thoroughly comfortably out and it feels like coming back again, you don't pull it back in, but let it fall back in. Letting your lungs expand, expand, expand until they feel very comfortably full. And you wait a moment and let it stay there. And once again, so in this way, you will discover the job breath gets quite naturally easier and easier, and slower and slower, and more powerful. So with these various aids of listening to the sound, listening to your own interior feelings, thoughts, just as if they were something going on, not something you were doing, but just happenings, and watching your breath as a happening that is neither voluntary nor involuntary, who are simply aware of these basic sensations, then you begin to be in the state of meditation. But don't hurry anything. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about what progress you're going to make. Be aware of what is. Don't be terribly selective, particular, say, I should think of this or I should think of that. Just watch whatever is happening.